Hey y'all, good morning. It's the morning time. It's early, ain't it? Gonna get some early info today. Okay, I'm just right now. I am cleaning my brace. I gotta go over it with a lint roller, but I wanted to get it's going in the surgery room with me, so I'm trying to disinfect it. Okay, so. Just trying to wipe it out. Look, I might have had some wings one day. I need to get that barbecue sauce out of there. And then I'm going to go over with a lint roller. But I was like, well, let me go ahead and tell these people a little bit more about the RBT, recruiting situation. Because I'm trying to get y'all to work with these kids. Okay? Okay? Don't try to come for me. My lighting's bad. This dress is weird. But guess what? Nobody's perfect, first of all. Are you? Am I? I'm not. So let me run this info down to you, right? Let me just tell you about this job this career, whatever you want to call it, right? I still ain't redone my nails. I gotta let them breathe. But I do have to wipe this off because it is time for me to go in for my next surgery, etc., etc. It's been a long time coming, trying to get that left knee together. I'm just trying to give people time to come in, I guess. Because this is important. To me it is. And I feel like this should be important to other people because we have a lot of need for this profession, okay? And it's not difficult. You just gotta have respect. Speaking of respect, I want to talk about basically the code of ethics. You definitely gonna have to go over code of ethics when you do your exam and when you do your competency skills and stuff like that. So I just want to run down a little bit of stuff because it's really just respect, right? It's respect, having integrity for yourself, the company, the whole process of behavior analysis, the whole process of dealing with kids that can't speak up for themselves, And so they have a RBT code of ethics, and this is the standards that I went by. And it just say you got to be honest. Conduct yourself in a professional manner. Okay, so this is the thing about RBT. This is what I don't like, and this is the number one rule for RBTs. So, RBT, you could be an RBT for 15, 20 years, but you cannot work your own. You can't legally get paid to watch somebody's kid without a BCBA, without going through a company or through a person. I had the luxury of working with a person that had her own practice. It was nice. But, as it got bigger and bigger, if she got more clients, she ended up having to get more BCBAs. But as an RBT, I would never have been able to move up and be a BCBA or work by myself with a client for too long without her help, without becoming a BCBA. I wouldn't be able to do anything independently at all. It's a lot of criteria you got to go through. You got to get a lot of other stuff signed off, and certain stuff you can't say because you're just an RBT, whatever. So that code of ethics is important, but it's not a lot. It's a lot of words, but it's not a lot. This is what it look like. Right, that's what it's looking like. I wish I could screen share or something with y'all, but it's simple. It's stay in your lane. Don't be trying to go over your person because they are responsible for everything. If anything happens, your BCBA is responsible because that's your supervisor. You know what I'm saying? So don't make false statements, right? Purposefully. If it was a mistake, you should be able to say it was a mistake, I just didn't know. But don't be out here just lying. We don't need that. You know what I mean? To the parents of kids with autism and for the kids, we don't need you to be the type of person that's gonna tell a lie at any split moment for any reason. Okay? And anytime you have a problem, you must go to your supervisor. I know my lighting is terrible, y'all. I hate it, but I think it's the ponytail. No, it's not. It's the lighting. But anyways, yeah, it's that's just the general responsibilities, Oh, okay. So these are intense little rules. Like, you can't have multiple relations. Like, you can't date your client's parents, and I think it's like 2 years. You gotta wait 2 years before you can like, okay, if I know a kid and he needs his hair cut, I can't charge them to cut his hair, because that's multiple relationships, if that makes sense. You are able to go out on outings with them, because you are teaching him how to socialize, teaching them kids how to socialize. So it'll be times where you do go somewhere with those parents and that kid, but they cannot spend more than $10. Yeah. You can't spend more than $10, and they can't spend more than $10. So let's say your little kid birthday coming up, like your client's birthday is coming up. You can get them something for their birthday, but you can't go all above and beyond, if that makes sense, because it causes conflict. Okay? Can't get in no romantic or sexual relationships. Okay? Y'all, I had to learn how to sit down, because I done seen a lot of nice looking dads, you know what I'm saying? But I done been hit on by some nice looking other babysitters. But it's like, bro, no, we on a big mission. So you can't have no relations with the parents, no relations with the babysitter, nobody that gotta sign that paper. If somebody gotta sign the paper for the insurance, or to say that, yes, I'm the adult watching this kid, you cannot have no kind of relationship with them like that. Okay? And I'm gonna tell you this right here, because this is something that I ended up getting in trouble for. Okay, I can be honest with y'all, because I got in trouble for some stuff, and I can understand how I got in trouble for it, but at the same time, mistakes happen, and we just move forward. But yes, as an RBT, I apparently don't supposed to be engaging in so much conversation with the parent. Okay, the parent will always say, they try to get in touch with the BCBA, which is my supervisor, and she has so many questions. And I will start by saying, I don't know. I'll ask my BCBA. But in the end, when everything kind of hit the fan or whatever, because sometimes it's difficult to do the parent training. Right? And I don't do parent training. That's what my supervisor does. And so she has so many questions for me. And I'm like, well, let me ask my supervisor. Let me ask my supervisor. Because I know I'm not supposed to be teaching her. I'm not parent training. That's not my job description. You cannot work outside your job description at any time. If you don't supposed to be training, then you're not supposed to be training until your BCBA or the people at your job tell you, like, yes, you got the green light to teach this parent. I didn't know that. I did not know that. That lady asked me so many questions about doing this and doing that, because I was calm and he was listening. Her kid was listening to me. So I felt like she just wanted advice or whatever. But yeah, my BCBA was like, nah, you not supposed to talk with her about that stuff. Just tell her to hit me up, which I did. But after so long, I could tell she was I don't want to say desperate, but she was eager to figure it out, because the tables were turned, and the supervisors be online. The supervisors be doing telehealth, so it's difficult to be like, okay, well, we'll talk about it this day, when she got a physical person right here that could go and literally I can stand up and be like, see how I did this, like that, and that's more comforting. And I know it's more comforting because I've seen it, you know what I'm saying? But I can't be like, it's difficult. It's such a hard middle ground, because on the one end, okay, you got a kid that's tantruming. You obviously, the parents' methods for the tantrum, I'm not saying that there are bad methods, but the methods aren't working for this particular child, right? So it's hard for me to not be like, don't do that. I can't tell them to not do that, but they're there and they are gonna do that if I don't. So I try to be like, I try to be like, yo, I do it in a nice way. I try to be like, it's hard being an RBT, just because you're limited to what you can and can't say. But I be like, I still find a way to do it in a professional manner, because we talking about code of ethics. So within the code of ethics, I try to find a way to be like, I might wait until after we've already been through the tantrum and I kind of showed that kid, that mom or that dad, how to execute what I'm about to tell them, right? So I might be like, I might stand in front of mom. I might stand in front of mom with the most respect. You know what I'm saying? Put my hands on the scene, and then once they're fine, they're good, they got what they wanted, or they got, then I step back and be like, yeah, most of the time, you don't want to just jump to them like that when they start tantrum. It's like one of those, you can take the advice if you want to, but you don't have to. And I always kind of like throw that disclaimer in there. I'm not a BCBA. I'm not my supervisor. It's something you have to discuss with her. But this what works for me. You know what I'm saying? So you got to watch yourself with the code of ethics. It's simple. It's simple because treat people how you want to be treated. But that first part, though, those limitations, that's the general responsibilities. Those limitations kind of crazy. Okay, so then you got, responsibilities of providing. You cannot harm. You cannot do harm to the people, obviously. You got to follow the direction of your supervisor. See what I'm saying? Like, this is the one where it's like, you get tight. You cannot do new stuff. Like, you can't, let me tell you what it say. It says, do not use unfamiliar interventions or provide services to unfamiliar client populations unless they have received proper training. So you can't just go in and be like, oh, I want to teach Brad how to use the potty. Like, no, you do have to talk to your BCBA about this stuff. You see what I'm saying? Because if something goes wrong inside of it, we call it intervention. If something goes wrong in your intervention, you want your BCBA to know everything that you guys have been doing ever since. Because if you go adding stuff, and you can add stuff as the time go on, and you know that kid, and you and your supervisor got to understand, like, you taking the reins. Because you could take the reins, everybody be on telehealth. But essentially, when you first starting, at least, you don't want to just jump in there and be like, ooh, well, if I give him this, or if I do this, just have the discussion with your supervisor. And I'm not going to say I'm going to be a supervisor because I want you to work for a little minute. But by the time I get my licensure, then I could be a supervisor. And we already going to be, we're going to be doing what we need to do. Right? Okay. But yeah, always communicate with your supervisor if you feel like that's pretty much the gist of it. If you feel like somebody's trying to mess with you, like a parent trying to get onto you, or you feel like the parent wants too much information or whatever, just ask your BCBA, ask your supervisor. Okay, so you got to conduct yourself in a professional manner during all work activities. You gotta, this is a difficult one because you gotta protect the confidentiality and privacy of your clients and stakeholders. Like, when I work for the company that I work for now, my leg messed up, so I'm not working right now. But when I work for the company that I work for, I had to work in home with the kid, but then I also had to go to the office to work with another kid. So it was like, man, they be like, you gotta wear your scrubs, but I'm like, I don't want to mess up the credit, I don't want to mess up the confidentiality that me and my other client got going on. So it came down to I just wear like the scrub bottoms, but I have to wear a regular shirt because, yeah, man, and especially that particular kid, I'm trying to get that kid to go to the park. And even though I kept saying I'm his friend, he'd be like, you're not my friend, you're my therapist. I'd be like, well, we still gonna play. I'm not coming in here with no scrubs on. You see what I'm saying? Because he had grandparents and stuff that had nurses coming in and they wore scrubs. And so I feel like everybody got a nurse. You see what I'm saying? So if I come up in here with the whole scrub suit, it's gonna be kind of like, dang, the little boy gonna be like, dang, I'm sick too. I'm sick like what? So I try to keep it to where I don't look like a nurse. even though I am a mental nurse, right? Okay. I try not to look like it. That's the best part about being a therapist too. You don't have to wear scrubs because you're not physically working on somebody. You're not gonna get blood on yourself and stuff. But to keep it professional, you want to wear scrubs when you are working in the facility. You want to wear something nice and presentable. But when you go and play in the homes, it's good to just try to find you something regular to wear, like jeans and a t-shirt, like I said, scrubs and a shirt. Obviously you don't want to have nothing indecent on. Just something casual, something you can move around in because you're playing with kids, right? That's why I keep telling them, like, I gotta get these surgeries and get my leg fixed because I'm not finna be boring Miss Ashley. It doesn't work. How? I have to get my needs fixed and then I can work, right? Because that's the whole gist of the job. So yes, put on some clothes that you can walk around in and do a little pulley and do a little, right? Okay? So you got to make sure you protect your client's dignity. Not only are you protecting the fact that, they got a therapist, their confidentiality, you also protecting their well-being physically. You protecting their well-being physically. You're protecting their dignity. Like, you're there. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, for real, like, you gotta protect their dignity. Like, it's been times where it wasn't my place. It wasn't my place. It was my place, though, because I have a responsibility. Once I sign something with a job or with the company, I have a responsibility to every client with that company. So let's say I see somebody doing something that's just stripping the integrity from a child. I'ma say something. And I want people that's gonna say something too. I wouldn't be the type of supervisor to be like, don't be telling other people. I do my kids like that, but I wouldn't be like, don't tell other people, because that stuff is important. When people have ill will towards kids or people that can't speak up for themselves, that is bad. That is bad for the soul. So it's like, legally, as an RBT, I can't let it happen. But also spiritually, because that's damaging to that child, I can't let it happen. So it's our duty to protect them people. Like, I've been in situations where you can be put in situations where defects or child services have to get involved. It'd be a situation where you can tell the child is neglected. You try to give the parents a chance, but I feel like, yet again, as an RBT, my job was to tell my supervisor. Now, I'm a reporter, but me being a reporter, me being a black mom that's been in some crazy situations, also, I'm not just going to report it, though. I'm definitely going to talk to the mom about it, see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I done seen some crazy off the wall stuff. That's why I say I don't think these kids are just really not wired right. I think they're traumatized. They be going through stuff and there's nobody there for them. That's what this is. I'm here to help them learn how to be, in society, but I'm also here to protect them. Like, I'm here to be like, hey, that kid, it ain't nothing wrong with him. This happened, and this is how he reacting to it. He just wants you to do this. He just trying to get this. He's not, you know what I'm saying? But at the same sense, I can't tell nobody that kid ain't autistic because I'm not a BCBA. I'm not a behavior analysis, right? But yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff, and it is our duty to report that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it be kids that don't be my clients that I be wanting to talk to their parents and stuff. But one, because nobody else is saying nothing about the neglect or whatever. And two, because that's not my client and I don't talk to the parents or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I done seen him where the little boy eat stuff out. He eat his poop. I don't know if he was like pooping in the cat litter box, or pooping in the corner, or pooping in his pull-up and then going in and eating it. And then he be having lice and fleas and he be having bites everywhere. He's so beautiful. Such a beautiful little boy. Like, I've never seen such beauty until I started this profession. Like, these people are just magnificent. The eyes and his hair, he's so adorable, right? But man, oh man, it's like, I don't mean to be offensive, but it's like trailer park trash, right? And trailer park trash isn't traumatizing unless you're a baby and you're walking around everywhere and you're bored and nobody's talking to you, nobody's helping you navigate through stuff, but every time you touch something, somebody scream at you from somewhere, you don't know. You never know what I'm saying? Like, you never know. You see the dog eat the poop. You ain't see what the adults do with they poop. You know, people learn stuff in different ways. You know what I'm saying? So, I can't be like, oh, well, somebody need to call. You can't just jump to call CPS or whatever. But, man, I had a hard time with one of my clients one time. I can't really say nothing because this is my particular client. It's not just some kid I saw. So, I can't just be like outing them. But, man, I'm going to probably tell you at some point because, you know, I'm going to eventually teach y'all about taking the kids to the potty because that's a hot topic. Like, that's a sensitive topic. So, I'm going to eventually talk about the, you know, potty training and stuff. So, but I don't be going out about it. Thank you. Look, send me stars if you want. I can get stars now. It's going to help me feel like I'm helping. Okay? I'm just going over the code of ethics right now. So, but I'm also trying to get people to understand, like, it's the vibes that these kids are getting towards them through the day-to-day basis. Like, let's say I have a baby, and I'm upset because my baby dad don't want to be with me. I ain't paid no attention to my child all that time because I'm so angry. So everything that I do within the first 3 months, that child had to go through that. Right? And I might get better. I might get over that baby dad, or we might get back together and now I'm better. But in the 3 months, that child didn't get something, right? And something wasn't clicking. So I feel like it's very easy to lose that touch that be in the kids. I think that's what it is. We calling it autism, but it's so new. This is just my beliefs. I'm just an RBT. Don't try to tell nobody that I said all this. I will stand on it, but I'm just trying to help y'all out. Okay, now we're going to the last section. Y'all got it made because it ain't that many rules in this one. The other one got a lot of rules. Being the supervisor got a lot of rules. All of it really the same. You gotta comply to all the stuff. You know, once you become an RBT, you gotta keep your paperwork legit, correct, right? You can't cheat on the exam. The exam hard. The exam is difficult. It's not so hard, but it's just the way they ask them. I feel like all things mental do that. All the things that you have to read people and be around people, like, and talk to people for your profession. I feel like you always gonna have a hard exam with the weird questions and the weirder answers. You know, they want you to be able to. But I got you. It's not going to be that hard because we're going to study, you know. But anyways, you know, don't cheat. Be aware of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You gotta report stuff. You really do. If you change your numbers, stuff like that, you got to change it in the system. Just in case they try to get in touch with you about anything. They want you to check your account monthly. I'm not going to say don't do that because I'm trying to teach y'all the right way, okay? But I didn't know this. I didn't know that. That's the last rule. But yeah, they got a glossary in here. Behavior technician services. That's services provided under the direction of a BACB required supervisor that are explicitly based on the principles and procedure of behavior analysis and are designed to change behavior in meaningful ways. These services include, but are not limited to, implementing behavior change interventions and assisting with assessments and training. That's your job. That's our job. That's the job as an RBT, behavior technician. Okay, so your client will be the direct recipient of behavior services. Like, that's your client. That's the only person that's your client. The parent will never be your client. Your client always comes first. Your job is to work on behaviors and stuff, and your client is your client. That's the one that you're doing services for. Okay? Nobody else. And I know that sounds weird that I'm saying that, but take heed. Remember that part. Please. Please. Okay? Clients' rights. Clients got human right, legal rights codified with behavior analysis. You know, the rights that's in it that I just said. And organization rules designed to benefit the client. Right? Conflict of interest is when you and incompatibility between the RBT's private and professional interests resulting in risk or potential risk to services provided to or the professional relationship with a client, stakeholder, supervisor, or coworker. Okay? So that's most relationships too. That's gonna mess you up. So no conflict of interest, no multiple relationships. Social media. You don't do too much on social media. It's just like if you were a teacher, right? Okay. And the stakeholder, you're gonna hear me say stakeholder a few times because the stakeholder is literally the person that paid for it. So if I did this, then the stakeholder would be Medicaid. So stakeholder is an individual other than the client who is impacted by and invested in the behavior technician services. That's the parent, caregiver, relative, legally authorized representation, collaborator, employer, agency, the institution representation, licensure board. That's anybody else. Anybody other than you and your client. And that's why I said that. Okay? This other people. The stakeholder, they important because they're the people that telling you this is what's wrong. Because the client not going to say, hey, my behavior is crazy. I always hit people. Can you help me? The stakeholder is going to be the person that's like, this person need help. Okay? So, it's very important to make sure that you stay focused. You keep your code of ethics in check. You move with some respect for yourself, your client, and the stakeholders. Okay? Just in that order. Respect for yourself, respect for your client, and then respect for the third parties. So if at any point in time the third party is not, you know what I'm saying, it's time to go back to, I'm not trying to work with them. My services aren't for the stakeholder. Even if they're paying, even if they're the parent, your services aren't for them. If your supervisor tell you to do something with this kid, it's between you and that kid. It's between you and the client. You cannot allow the stakeholder or that third party to intervene with the services that are meant for the client. Okay? Your services are not for the stakeholder, even if they're paying. Okay? If it's something you don't want to do that the stakeholder asks you to do, you have every right to say no because you are only there for the client. Always remember that. And I'll see you next time. Bye.